ever developed. With a diameter of 9 meters, it offers unparalleled payload capacity, capable of carrying 100 to 150 tons when fully reusable. It is designed to carry us to Mars and bring us back. Powered by 33 Raptor engines, Super Heavy provides an unprecedented 7,590 tons of thrust, with propellant tanks capable of holding 3,400 tons of liquid oxygen and methane. These engines are optimized for use in the vacuum of space, ensuring efficiency for deep space missions. At the heart of Starship's upper stage is its Raptor vacuum engines, designed
Alright,
specifically for space.
we
These
are
engines provide the thrust needed to
streaming
travel
live,
between planets, with their
and
expanded nozzles maximizing efficiency in the vacuum.
this is
Starship
the
is designed to
SpaceX
land,
channel we're
refuel, and
watching.
relaunch, all with
We're
minimal
going
waste.
to
This is where it begins.
watch the launch
A
together.
vision long held by humanity, to reach beyond the skies, to explore the worlds that lie in the distance. Today, Starship brings that dream closer to reality. What you're
This is
witnessing
pretty
is not
exciting.
just a launch, it's the birth of a new era in space exploration. Powered by 33 Raptor engines, Starship ascends into the atmosphere with an unstoppable force, leaving behind the blue skies of Earth and reaching for the stars. Each second brings us closer to our future as it breaks free from the bonds of gravity. As Starship exits Earth's atmosphere, we leave behind everything we've known. Here, in the vastness of space, the only limits are those of our imagination. Starship's vacuum-optimized engines take over, propelling it further into the void, where distance is no obstacle and new worlds await. Space is endless, a vast frontier where the silence is deafening and the possibilities are infinite. Starship's mission is not just to survive this journey, it is built to thrive in it. With its advanced life support systems, integrated cargo capacity, and the ability to refuel in space, Starship opens the door to the most ambitious missions humanity has ever dreamed of: Mars. A world that has called to us for centuries, a place of mystery, challenge, and opportunity. Starship's mission is more than just a landing, it's the first step in creating a home beyond Earth. It carries with it not just people, but the promise of a future where humanity becomes interplanetary. As Starship approaches Mars, it prepares for one of the most critical moments of its mission, the descent. Unlike any spacecraft before it, Starship is designed to land on its own, using its powerful engines to slow its approach, carefully balancing on the razor's edge between control and gravity. Touchdown. Starship has landed on Mars, but this is only the beginning. With each successful mission, we inch closer to a future where Mars is not just a destination, but a new home for humanity. From these first steps, a new world will rise. With every launch, every mission, we move closer to creating a future where humans live among the stars, where the distances between planets are bridged, and where the impossible becomes the possible. And this is what Starship was built for, to carry humanity's dreams beyond Earth, beyond the known, and to make them reality. Mars is only the beginning. The journey continues into the stars, into the future. But there's something truly unique about Starship Launch 5. It's not just the power of the vehicle or its destination, it's how it all comes together. For the first time in history, the Super Heavy booster will be caught by SpaceX's innovative Chopsticks recovery system. Imagine this, a launch system capable of catching the massive 71-meter tall Super Heavy booster in midair, using precision and control to return it safely to Earth. These giant mechanical arms will secure the booster as it descends, eliminating the need for traditional landing legs, ensuring a rapid turnaround for future launches. This is a glimpse into the future of rapid, reusable spaceflight, a future where launches and landings happen within days, not months. Starship 5 represents the cutting edge of this vision, an innovation that brings us closer to interplanetary travel than ever before. A launch that will pave the way for humanity's future beyond Earth. Stay with us until the timer reaches 0. The future begins. SpaceX's Starship is more than just a rocket. It's the gateway to humanity's next frontier. This revolutionary spacecraft and its powerful Super Heavy booster represent the future of space exploration. Starship is built to be fully reusable, designed to carry both crew and cargo to Earth's orbit, the Moon, Mars, and beyond. Standing at a towering 121 meters, Starship is the world's most powerful launch vehicle ever developed. With a diameter of 9 meters, it offers unparalleled payload capacity, capable of carrying 100 to 150 tons when fully reusable. It is designed to carry us to Mars and bring us back. Powered by 33 Raptor engines, Super Heavy provides an unprecedented 7,590 tons of thrust, with propellant tanks capable of holding 3,400 tons of liquid oxygen and methane. These engines are optimized for use in the vacuum of space, ensuring efficiency for deep space missions. At the heart of Starship's upper stage is its Raptor vacuum engines, designed specifically for space. These engines provide the thrust needed to travel between planets, with their expanded nozzles maximizing efficiency in the vacuum. Starship is designed to land, refuel, and relaunch, all with minimal waste. This is where it begins, a vision long held by humanity, to reach beyond the skies, to explore the worlds that lie in the distance. Today, Starship brings that dream closer to reality. What you're witnessing is not just a launch, it's the birth of a new era in space exploration. Powered by 33 Raptor engines, Starship ascends into the atmosphere with an unstoppable force, leaving behind the blue skies of Earth and reaching for the stars. Each second brings us closer to our future as it breaks free from the bonds of gravity. As Starship exits Earth's atmosphere, we leave behind everything we've known. Here, in the vastness of space, the only limits are those of our imagination. Starship's vacuum-optimized engines take over, propelling it further into the void, where distance is no obstacle and new worlds await. Space is endless, a vast frontier where the silence is deafening and the possibilities are infinite. Starship's mission is not just to survive this journey, it is built to thrive in it. With its advanced life support systems, integrated cargo capacity, and the ability to refuel in
Good morning.
space, Starship opens the door to the most
Carol.
ambitious missions humanity has ever dreamed of. Mars,
Are you
a
ready to
world
watch
that has
this
called to
launch?
us for centuries, a place of mystery, challenge, and opportunity.
This should be exciting.
Starship's mission is more than just a landing, it's the first step in creating a home beyond Earth. It carries with it not just people, but the promise of a future where humanity becomes interplanetary. As Starship approaches Mars, it prepares for one of the most critical moments of its mission, the descent. Unlike any spacecraft before it, Starship is designed to land on its own, using its powerful engines to slow its approach, carefully balancing on the razor's edge between control and gravity. Touchdown. Starship has landed on Mars, but this is only the beginning. With each successful mission, we inch closer to a future where Mars is not just a destination, but a new home for humanity. From these
So
first
excited
steps,
about
a
this
new
launch.
world will rise. With every launch, every mission, we move closer to creating a future where humans live among the stars,
Copy though.
where
I'll
the
be right back.
distances between planets are bridged, and where the impossible becomes the possible. And this is what Starship was built for, to carry humanity's dreams beyond Earth, beyond the known, and to make them reality. Mars is only the beginning. The journey continues into the stars, into the future.
Okay, got my Joe.
But there's something truly unique about Starship Launch 5. It's not just the power of the vehicle or its destination, it's how it all comes together. For the first time in history, the Super Heavy booster will be caught by SpaceX's innovative Chopsticks recovery system. Imagine this, a launch system capable of catching the massive 71-meter-tall Super Heavy booster in midair, using precision and control to return it safely to Earth. These giant mechanical arms will secure the booster as it descends, eliminating the need for traditional landing legs, ensuring a rapid turnaround for future launches. This is a glimpse into the future of rapid, reusable spaceflight. A future where launches and landings happen within days, not months. Starship 5 represents the cutting edge of this vision, an innovation that brings us closer to interplanetary travel than ever before. A launch that will pave the way for humanity's future beyond Earth. Stay with us until the timer reaches 0. The future begins.
So they keep moving the launch
SpaceX's Starship
time
is
up.
more than just a rocket. It's
So
the
when I got
gateway
up
to
this morning,
humanity's
it
next
looked
frontier.
T0
This revolutionary
4 seconds, I
spacecraft
got
and its
down to
powerful Super Heavy
less than
booster
2 minutes, and
represent
then
the future of
they
space
moved it up
exploration.
to 15 again.
Starship
So
is
it's gonna
built to
a
be
few
fully
minutes
reusable,
before it really
designed to carry
happens.
both crew and cargo to Earth's orbit, the
I'm gonna
moon,
go ahead
Mars,
and
and
mute this
beyond.
channel here and take a look around and see what else is happening on YouTube. while I'm streaming here. And we got some footage from the last launch here, Starship 4 launch. And we're looking over the specs of the Starship here. It is absolutely massive, as you know. So we're just getting, this is SpaceX's little loop they've been playing all night. And so it seems like some of the other channels on YouTube actually have images of the Starship here in Boca Chica. Let's take a look at that for a second. Here, wait a minute. We would have to go to a different tab, I think, which would be this one, I think. Yeah, so here we see the launch pad in Boca Chica, and some SpaceX commentators here. Sun's coming up in Boca Chica. They're getting ready for the launch. Let's go ahead and tune in here and hear what this guy's saying.
In our window, the main reason is we're working to clear out the range. Have not been tracking any technical issues so far to preclude that launch. So 7:25 a.m. Central, 12:25 UTC is where we're marching down to. As you can see, we're actively loading propellants onboard Super Heavy and Starship. Liquid methane for your fuel, liquid oxygen for the oxidizer. Prop load on the ship started at about T-minus 49 minutes, booster at T-minus 40 minutes. We're going to keep loading propellants on those vehicles right down to the wire. Ship will close out at about 3 minutes, 20 seconds before T0, and then booster just about 30 seconds later. Now, with our startup sequence, it's going to look very similar to what you saw on Flight 4. We already tested it with this booster and its static fire. We're going to see the Raptors start to make fire at about T-minus 3 seconds, and then we'll start them up in 3 different banks. The first inner 13 will fire, and then about a second later, 15 of the outer ring engines, and then about 0.8 of a second after that, those final 5. Another reminder, if we need to hold, we have a built-in spot at T-minus 40 seconds. We can hold for stuff like if we need to finish clearing the range or if any other technical issues pop up, just kind of in the last second. But if there's nothing holding us back, we're going to go right past that and go down to 0. So, I mean, as of right now, we're just under 14 minutes away from liftoff, not working any technical issues. Range is expected to clear. We're just clearing out a few more boats. And as you can see, the weather is perfect. We had 100% go for launch from the weather officer, so that was pretty unprecedented and something we really like to hear. If we're not able to go today, since we are loading prop, it would likely be about 48 hours before our next attempt. But
yeah, I think
we're going to launch today. Really looking forward to being able to turn around and see it this time. Counting down to 7:25 a.m. Central, and I'll see you guys in a couple minutes. I'll send it back to you in Hawthorne.
Thanks, Dan. Now, one of the most exciting objectives for Flight 5 today is attempting to return the booster to the launch site that you see right there, and it will be caught by the tower. We refer to this simply as booster catch.
As you've heard us say, Starship and Super Heavy are designed to be rapidly reused, which is why we've developed a novel way of returning the vehicles that leverages the same hardware we use for stacking ahead of flight.
Right now, when we recover our Falcon boosters, they either return to a separate landing zone on land or to a drone ship in the ocean. both of which require time to transport the vehicle back to the launch site. In order for us to achieve truly rapid reusability, we need a quicker turnaround. And you can't get much faster
That's
than
such a beautiful image.
returning the launch vehicle right back to the launch site where it needs to be in order to launch again.
For today's booster catch attempt, while there are thousands of criteria that need to be met, there are 3 primary gates that will be in play. In order to proceed, automated checks have to indicate we have a healthy booster and a healthy tower, and the flight director must issue a manual command, which is informed by manual checks from the flight control team. If this command is not sent prior to the completion of the boost back burn, or if automated health checks show unacceptable conditions with Super Heavy or the tower, the booster will default to a trajectory that takes it to a landing burn and soft splashdown in the Gulf of Mexico.
Now,
I might have actually moved to Boca Chica to be closer to all this, but I couldn't. My father was ill and needed my help, so I came to California instead. But sure would be fun to be around Starbase right now and all that activity. There's just got to be a lot going on over there. Be great to get a job with SpaceX. I've been doing some a Google course on cybersecurity. Yeah, when is the liftoff? Well, I'm expecting it's going to be about 8:30 Pacific time. So yeah, 7:30 Central. So I think that's 8:30 Pacific. And they pushed back the live stream a little bit. The SpaceX, ooh, Elon's talking. Let's see if we can get into there. Elon, well, it's an old speech. Never mind. Let's see here.
To one planet, but where we can live, work, and thrive across the solar system.
Oh, no.
And cryptocurrency. Well, crypto is doing the same thing, but with money.
Oh, this is a
It's breaking
scam.
us free
Let's
from
close this
traditional
right away.
financial systems, giving.
Yeah, I've seen that before. It's a scam. It's not even really Elon. So going back to our live, this is video from space channel. Still not exactly what we're looking for here, I don't think.
Just heard the 2 sonic booms here in the room.
Booster landing confirmed.
As our test flights continue, we plan to demonstrate ship-to-ship propellant transfer, which will be important in preparation for Starship taking astronauts to the moon as part of NASA's Artemis program. SpaceX will perform one uncrewed demonstration flight before NASA's Artemis 3 mission, which will be the first human surface expedition since 1972. Also, in preparation for missions to the moon and Mars, we're gaining tons of knowledge from our human spaceflight missions, including free flyer flights like our recent commercial astronaut mission, Polaris Dawn.
Polaris Dawn was the first of up to 3 missions in the Polaris program, which is demonstrating new technologies, conducting extensive research, and will culminate in a flight of Starship with humans on board.
After nearly 5 days in orbit, Dragon and the 4-person Polaris Dawn crew safely splashed down on September 15th off the coast of Florida, completing the first human spaceflight mission of the Polaris program. The Polaris Dawn crew performed some incredible firsts during their mission. Dragon and the crew reached 1,408.1 kilometers, the highest Earth orbit ever flown, and the farthest humans have been from our planet since the Apollo program.
The crew also performed the first ever commercial EVA, or extravehicular activity. As you can see there, they were wearing the new EVA suits that we developed here in-house. This was an incredible moment to see Jared and then later Sarah emerge and perform this EVA with Earth behind. Now, in addition to this incredible spacewalk, they also conducted about 36 research studies and experiments from 31 partner institutions, including NASA. And
Out of the way, and then we can launch. Our window is from 7 to 7:30 Central, so we don't have a huge amount of time today, but we do have some margin if we need to work with it to still get off the ground today. For now, though, we're coming up on finishing prop load on both vehicles. Header tanks are pretty much topped out on the ship. Those are going to be used for its landing burn. And again, we're going to be closing out all of the prop load at about T-minus 3 minutes, 20 seconds for the ship, and then just 30 seconds later
you should be on
booster.
Pacific time, Cheryl.
One
so
kind
I
of cool
guess the
thing to talk
launch
about. So
probably
the
be
folks
about
in
8:30
launch
for
control
us.
behind me, after liftoff, they're going to have some pretty special tasks today. If we're going to go through with the catch, they're going to be doing some really detailed inspections just visually of all of the different tower systems, a lot of those things that we upgraded, just to make sure that we are in the right posture to actually proceed with the catch. So they'll be working kind of fast and furious behind the scenes to inform the flight director's manual command to send the booster back. So if we hear that command being sent, that's going to be just the roof's going to come off. That's going to be a really exciting moment. So otherwise, if we don't go today, as you guys talked about, there is a chance. And if we don't send the booster back, we'll do a landing burn and a splashdown in the Gulf.
I was just looking
And
at your
then
YouTube channel,
that's just
Cheryl.
another landing burn to gather more data,
How'd you
learn
get all
more
those
lessons from,
subscribers
and
with
then we'll
so
come
few
back and try
videos?
to catch again on the next one. But as of right now, we're coming up on 5 minutes. There is a chance that we'll hold or extend into the end of our window, so don't be surprised if that ends up happening. But if those boats do get out of the way, we are just about 5 minutes away from launch. So I'll check back in just a moment, but back over to you, Kate and Jesse.
I'll have to
thanks,
watch
Dan.
some of your
Our
videos
rapid
later when I have time.
iterative development approach has been the basis for all of SpaceX's major innovative advancements, including Falcon, Dragon, and Starlink. Today, we're testing hardware and systems, and we need to know how they perform under the most extreme conditions. We'd much rather find the bugs now during testing than later on when there's more on the line. And to reiterate, while we do determine an acceptable level of technical risk on our vehicle and pad in order to learn as fast as possible, we accept no compromises when it comes to the safety of the public or our team. So that is to say, this is only the fifth of many future flight tests of Starship before it becomes fully operational.
You might remember the Starlink panels that are incorporated into Starship, and you can see them there on your screen, those rectangular panels on Starship's nose cone. Starlink brings us the epic views in space and on re-entry, and also helps deliver us the critical flight data engineers need to continue development. In addition to enabling our rapid iteration on Starship, Starlink is also enabling life-saving communication here on Earth. SpaceX is sending tens of thousands of Starlink kits in response to Hurricanes Helene and Milton, and providing free service through the end of the year to support recovery efforts. The Starlink team also worked with T-Mobile to activate our direct-to-cell satellites to provide basic texting on T-Mobile and emergency alerts for all phones and carriers of those in affected areas. If a phone connects to a Starlink satellite, it will have 1 to 2 bars of signal and show T-Mobile SpaceX in the network name. SpaceX's direct-to-cell constellation has not been fully deployed, so these services are being delivered on a best effort basis.
Starlink is enabling life-saving communication here on Earth and continues to help us push the limits in space. In the short term, by providing great views and real-time data on our next few flights, particularly through re-entry, which historically is a blackout period for all communications.
All right, so we're coming up on 2 minutes, 30 seconds away from launch. We were hearing like there was a pretty good chance we were going to hold at T-minus 40 seconds, but surprise, now it sounds like we might not be. So We are just a little over 2 minutes away, so a couple more things going to be happening. We did just close out our propellant load on the ship and the booster, so 10 million pounds of propellant on that vehicle on the pad here at Starbase, getting ready to go. We're going to start clearing out all of the lines that are basically pushing all of that propellant to the vehicles. Those get cleaned out or cleared out on the ground before we lift off. We're doing some final checks on the vehicle, the thrust vector control that we're going to use to steer it, as well as the guidance system doing its final alignment, just a lot of our final checkouts. But we are starting to hear that it looks like the range is going to be clear at our liftoff time of 7:25 a.m. Central, 12:25 UTC. So that puts us 1 minute, 20 seconds away from launch. Still not tracking any technical issues. That range clear is the only thing that's been potentially poking at our launch.
1 minute and 20 seconds
So
away from
I'm
launch.
going to start to quiet down. We'll hear our flight director for today, Tristan Pierce, give some of the final call outs.
Launches at 7:25.
As of right now, we are 1 minute away from liftoff.
1 minute away from liftoff. Okay, so how does 7:30 Central Time translate to 1 minute? I just can't believe that.
Flight directors go for launch.
Best words you could possibly hear, 20 seconds away from liftoff.
T-minus 5,
Oh my God, is this
4, 3, 2, 1. We have liftoff.
Wow.
Vehicles pitching downrange.
There it goes. Wow, look at that sunrise.
Booster after chamber pressure nominal.
"30 seconds into the flight, the Brumville's just starting to reach us here at launch control.
Booster and ship,
That
avionics
is
power,
the
telemetry
sound
nominal.
of 33 Raptor engines.
Max Q.
Now pass through the maximum aerodynamic pressure, the most stress the vehicle's going to see on the way uphill. All right, our next major milestone coming up, it's going to be hot staging. We're going to see the engines ignite on ship to push it away from the booster. All right, so hot staging is going to be the next thing coming up. First, we're going to see the booster's engines start to shut down, all but 3. We're going to do what's called most engines cut off instead of main engine cut off, because 3 are going to keep going, and then we're going to see the engines on ship ignite. Right now, the tower team is doing their go, no go. And we might hear some really good words soon, too. All right. Can still see it up behind me. That is one of the most gorgeous things I've ever seen in my entire life. Coming up on hot staging next.
Ship engine
There's
startup.
most engines cut off.
Stage separation.
Oh, wow. There it goes.
Stage separation,
Startup.
hot stage separation confirmed.
This is going to be the exciting part.
Ship under its own
Watching
power. I'm seeing
Mechazilla
6 out
try
of
to
6
catch it.
Raptors lit. Hopefully, I got a booster on the way back to me. I'm going to send it to you guys in Hawthorne.
Oh man, that was absolutely incredible. I loved how the crowd
Chamber pressure is nominal.
here in Hawthorne all went ooh at that first view of the blue flames from the booster. As you can see there, first stage currently performing, or to me, is now making its way back to the launch site. Again, we are
Ship avionics power and telemetry nominal.
the booster and the tower are both performing automated checks to make sure we are go for the booster to return to the launch pad for that catch. And once those are complete, the flight director.
Booster boost back burn shutdown. Flight directors go for booster again.
And we did hear that the tower is go for catch. So that was one of the big criteria we were looking for.
This view
We'll
here.
wait to hear that the go for catch has been sent.
Beautiful view here from the ship.
And so exciting to hear that we got a go for booster catch. That means it's going to be a really exciting
how these
morning.
little
Again, the
animations
booster is
show
making
the
its way
attitude of
back
the craft.
towards now land in order to make that catch attempt in the tower.
Wow.
So incredible to see these views. You can see the ship on the right-hand side of your screen. All 6 Raptor engines are under full power. Once again, the booster is making its way back to the launch site. We are going to try and catch it using the chopsticks on the launch tower, the exact same tower that it just launched from 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, and the booster.
Starship on nominal
And guys,
trajectory.
I can confirm the command was sent for the booster to come back.
That is
So I'm
incredible
looking up
news.
right now.
If they
It's
actually
pretty
catch the
much right
booster,
overhead of us, and we can see it starting to come down.
I'm fully expecting the
I can't wait for
blow
us
up
to hear the
along with
sonic
the tower.
boom through Dan's mic.
Right.
That is going to be incredible. It was so cool to hear the liftoff. And so once again, it's successful on-time liftoff of Starship Flight 5. The ship has separated from the booster. The booster is there on your screen. It is making its way back to the launch site. We are going to attempt the catch using the chopsticks. We did hear the confirmation that the command was sent to the tower. We are go for catch.
And in
Boy.
order
And
to.
guys, we
Here we
should
go.
just be about 30 seconds away from our landing burn. It's going to happen in 3 phases. We're going to land 13 engines, burn off all of that velocity. Oh, we can see it coming down
Oh.
through the plume.
Screaming in.
Booster coming in hot for booster catch.
We're going to ignite 13 of those Raptor engines, and this view is incredible right now. You can see how fast this vehicle is moving on the left-hand screen.
Landing burn has
13
been
engines.
ignited. We're now down to 3 Raptor engines. We can see those
Oh my
chopsticks
God.
now in the air.
Look at that. Oh my God. Oh. Amazing.
Mechazilla had caught the booster.
Wow. Thought it was going to hit the tower for sure. It looked like it missed the tower by inches.
Insane. On the first ever attempt, we have successfully caught the super heavy booster back at the launch tower.
What an incredible view!
Ha
Are you kidding me?
ha. Unbelievable.
Dan,
Wow.
I don't know about you, but we're losing our stuff up
Starship
here.
is terminal dead.
Guys, I'm sorry. Like, even in this day and age, what we just saw, that looked like magic. Wow.
I'd love to see that from a different angle. Wow, it looked like it was just inches from hitting the tower.
Folks, this is a day for the engineering history books.
Wow. Thanks for being here with me, Sven and
This is a
Cheryl.
live view
This was,
of the Super Heavy booster
really
as it has
appreciate
just
you
been
guys
successfully
tuning in on
caught
this
back
channel
at the very same launch tower that it just came from. Dan, I love this. You are reflecting exactly what everybody else here in Hawthorne, except maybe a little bit more because you got to see it with your own eyes.
How was that?
We got it. I mean, I can't even describe that. Oh, by the way, ship, main engine cut off, ship's in orbit, but I am like shaking right now. That was
Yeah, this is not,
yeah,
I mean,
let's check in on ship.
it's hard to believe that.
Starship nominal orbit insertion.
Oh, right. Exciting news there. It's hard to believe that, booster isn't the only excitement that we have today. Just confirmation there. A gorgeous view of planet Earth behind the ship. And it is now in the orbit that we expected it to. This is just an incredible day. Live views there as the booster vents some pressures there. That is a live view from the top of the tower looking at the chopsticks.
I am still in disbelief. I'm trying to catch my tears just like the chopsticks caught the booster. It has been nonstop since liftoff. And we are all so excited about everything that's been happening so far this morning. With the booster having completed its job for today, we are going to take a short break for the next 30 minutes. We'll return back at T plus 40 minutes while the ship continues to coast before re-entry.
Oh, man. And as with previous flights, Starlink may actually enable us to talk with the ship through re-entry with no communication blackout. We, of course, are still testing Starlink during this phase of flight, so nothing is certain. But if we do have views, we'll be sure to bring those to you live.
Views or no views, we'll see you back.
Wow. Yeah, I'm just amazed. That was incredible. And it's really going to be amazing to see if the ship survives re-entry, because as you know, if you were watching Starship 4, it burned up when it hit the atmosphere. So presumably SpaceX has taken measures to prevent that this time. But it's going to be really interesting to watch. Also, I'm amazed at the altitude, the apparent altitude of Starship here, because it looks like it's gone way up into the sky, further than most. 168 kilometers. So no, I guess not. It's still pretty near Earth orbit. Must be just the fisheye lens that makes it look like it's so far away. But there it is. That's amazing. The booster hanging on the tower there. Made it without blowing up or crashing into the tower, which is what I kind of expected to happen. And now it's just Starship's going to cruise for a while, and then we get to watch the re-entry. So, yeah. Really beautiful. Yeah. Yes, those were some Mr. Miyagi chopsticks, Cheryl. Really beautiful. I'm so excited about our space program and where it's going. In my opinion, there is nothing more important to humanity than the exploration of space. If we fail to colonize space, eventually we will just die out as a species, and no one will ever know we were here on this little planet out on the edge of this unremarkable galaxy floating among billions of galaxies in our universe. So I think it's really important. And we don't know. We could be wiped out any minute. Asteroid or supervolcano or a solar flare, nearby star going supernova. There's a lot of things that could wipe us out. Or we could wipe ourselves out with nuclear weapons or, just catastrophic effects to our ecosphere. So I see, and people, a lot of people complain, like they say, oh, we need to solve problems here on Earth before we go into space. Well, first of all, I don't see that happening. I mean, people have been waging war and killing each other for thousands of years, and I don't see that stopping anytime soon. However, if we can colonize space, it could be a uniting factor for the countries on Earth. I mean, once we realize, hey, we don't need to fight over our little remaining resources here on planet Earth. There's limitless resources up there in space. They stop fighting and they start working together to try to accomplish our mutual goal. So that's my hopes for the future of humanity and space exploration. And we'll just have to see what happens, but I think it's really important. And people who think it's not are just short-sighted. They're not seeing the big picture. Oh, you were there when Mount St. Helens happened, huh? Wow. Yeah, I remember that. That was quite an event. And I was in Santa Fe, New Mexico when it happened. And that's pretty far from St. Helens, but our skies became dark from the ashes of St. Helens passing over us high in the atmosphere. Yeah, that must have been interesting. That must have been pretty traumatic too, if you were in an area that got covered with ash. Yeah. Let's see if we get any sound back in here. This, I'm coming right off of SpaceX's channel on X, formerly Twitter. No commentary yet. Wow, 60 miles from Mount St. Helens. Yeah, I guess you were. I'm sure you were on the upwind side of the explosion when it happened, or you probably wouldn't be alive to tell us about it. $64. Well, still pretty close, huh? So glad that the FAA finally got off their hands and issued the license to launch, because they were really holding things up. And not just holding up the launch of Starship, but potentially putting all of humanity in danger, because, like I said, if we don't explore space and colonize space, we stand a chance of being wiped out en masse. I'm gonna have to go up there to Mount St. Helens one of these days. It'd be interesting to see how the wildlife has recovered after being covered with all this ashes. But look, there's a little piece of metal flying away from the Starship there into space. Wow, that's a great view. Here's another one. Little bits of maybe ice, or probably little chunks of ice. All right, over 18 minutes into the test flight. Probably be another 10 minutes before Starship attempts re-entry. I'm just going to warm up my coffee. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. All right. I'm back. Then Minnesota. I'll bet you guys saw some ash when Mount St. Helens blew. Yeah, still active. I bet there's a lot of good hot springs up there. What an exciting time to be alive. You know, when I was a little kid, I was born in the 60s, mid 60s. And so when the moon landing happened, I was only 3. And my mother woke me up. I remember all the, hold on a second, I'm just going to mute this. I remember all the being in bed and hearing my mom say, somebody get Davany up. Go wake up Davany. He's I want him to see this, and someone came and got me out of bed and took me out to the living room. All the grown-ups were sitting around the TV, there must have been, 15 people in our living room. And it was, I don't know exactly what time it was, but, back then we had little black and white TVs, and so I'd come out to the living room, and everyone's in the living room, gathered around this little black and white TV, and we watched the moon landing, and we watched, the moonwalk and stuff like that. And I was only 3, but I remember it. I mean, I remember seeing that and having so much hope and believing that someday I'd get to walk on the moon and, fly in a spaceship. And I really believed that. And then it just never happened because people lost interest in it. People were more interested in waging war and, fighting on Earth, with other nations, spending their tax dollars on the military. And then they were, interested in exploring space. So the whole thing got put on hold for like 40 years, until Elon came along and basically single-handedly revived the whole space industry. And I'm grateful to him because I really think that is what we need to be doing. That is our destiny. And it sure is better than, fighting all the time and, starting wars and, fighting over resources and stuff like that. We need explorers, not soldiers. Yeah, be like the Jetsons in a few more years. Yeah, I think it will with artificial intelligence and all the advances we're making with space exploration. Just a lot of new technology coming online. And yeah, I think we're going to see some really big changes over the next 10 years. I'm excited about it. I'm glad I might get to see it. Oh, there goes another chunk of something flying off the Starship. What are all those little chunks of stuff flying off the Starship? Where are they coming from? Look at that. Oh, wow. Sven? So you're a couple years older than me, it looks like. Yeah, I'm glad. I don't understand why so many people seem to be against space exploration, or, I've talked to people that they actually get angry about it. They're like, oh, we shouldn't be doing that, and I don't know what they think we should be doing if we shouldn't be exploring space. Yeah. For some people, when I was younger, I was really excited about getting on a spaceship. But now, I don't think I'd do as well. I found that as I get older, I become more claustrophobic. Might not like being in a little tin can, confined for months on end. But when I was younger, I thought, well, yeah, sure, I could do that, no problem, All right, let's go back in here so we get a little more sound out of here. What's happening? Probably going to try re-entry here in a few more minutes. Like there's a little burn going on. It's interesting because the way the ship's orientated, it looks like it should be that the Earth should be moving that, spinning the other way. The ship is flying sideways or something. And I know they're doing some tests during this flight. They're doing like a refueling simulation. So obviously there's no other ships up there, but they wanted to go through the motions as if they were refueling while they're flying around up there before they tested re-entry. I remember last night hearing Elon talk about that. And Elon, what a hero he is, huh? I'm so grateful for Elon Musk coming along, and it seems like first he invented PayPal, and that was great for me because at the time I was trying to set up an e-commerce business, and PayPal enabled me to build my own website and create little payment buttons and stuff. No one else was doing that at the time, and my little e-commerce business turned into kind of a success, and I was able to it took some pressure off me, some survival pressure off of me, and made it easier for me to survive. So I'm grateful to Elon for inventing PayPal, and then for taking so many gas-burning cars off the road and making our air cleaner, for his contributions to space exploration, obviously, which I think, as I said before, is our most important endeavor. There's nothing more important. And he pretty much single-handedly revived the space industry with SpaceX. So I'm really grateful to Elon. The cars suck. Really? I rode in one once. I've never driven one, but they seem like good cars. At least they don't spew gas. Like I have COPD, so sometimes it's hard for me to breathe, and I really hate being like at an intersection next to a big truck spewing fumes. So I like electric cars, and I realize it's not a real solution to the pollution problem, because I know that they're still burning gas somewhere to make the electricity, but at least it's not coming right in my window at the intersection, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't know why. It seems like the cars get pretty good reviews. I know they've had some problems, but I think you see more Teslas on the road now than Fords, and maybe I'm mistaken about that, but I heard that Tesla had taken a bigger market share than Ford in car sales, which would be pretty amazing. It's like first time in history that's happened, I think. All right, let's go back. Yeah, Elon's done a lot of good things. I don't understand why people turned on him. Like for a while, he was the golden boy, and left wing liberal people loved him. And then when he went to buy Twitter, all of a sudden everybody hated him. Probably because they suspected he was gonna reestablished Donald Trump's account, which everybody hates Trump, and so they're like, oh well, Elon is a Trump supporter. He was never a Trump supporter until the Democrats did turn on him, and I think like he voted for Biden, but I think what happened is the Democrats have kind of gotten off course, and I think a lot of us are just tired of that kind of behavior. I don't want to turn this into a political discussion, but I like Elon. I think he's doing a good job. I think he could be the savior of humanity. Yeah, Ford. Well, American car manufacturers really didn't impress me much throughout the 70s and early 80s. Started making better cars in the 90s. What's that on the horizon there? Is that the moon? I think I see the moon rising over there behind the Earth there. "34 minutes into the flight." There's the booster hanging over Mechazilla there. That was so amazing. We're going to have to try to see if we can catch some more angles of that. Uh-oh, something's happening here. Flaps are moving. Things are flying off into space. I guess those must be little chunks of ice. I don't know. Did we almost lose you, Sven? Glad you found your way back. What's that? What is that little thing? Must be ice. Those little things flying around in the sky. land down there. So, if you were having trouble finding the official SpaceX broadcast of this, it's because they didn't do it on YouTube. And so there's like a couple of counterfeit channels on YouTube that call themselves SpaceX, but when you go there, it's just like this phony like scam where they try to get you to give them cryptocurrency or whatever. So to get to this official SpaceX stream, I had to go to X and go to SpaceX's channel on X, and then it's broadcasting from there. So that's where I'm streaming this from. You see something, Cheryl, that you can't explain? We're looking down at the Earth here. We're over a continent, it appears. We see land. Powered by Starlink, so we're getting our signal through Starlink. Just amazing.
Welcome back to Starship's 5th flight test. It has been an exciting day so far. Even the crowd here is still so excited.
All right.
We lifted off from Starbase at 7:25 a.m. Central Time.
Be watching
the
the
Super Heavy
re-entry
booster
here
and
soon.
ship had a successful separation, as well as a good boost back burn and good separation of the hot stage adapter. The Super Heavy booster then completed the landing burn with 13 Raptor engines igniting and slowing down the vehicle perfectly for Mechazilla to catch the Super Heavy booster for the first ever land recovery of the vehicle.
If you had one of those t-shirts.
Now, it is insane to think that we're not done yet. We still have, in about 48 minutes, the ship will re-enter. All the flaps that will today, not that could.
Okay.
The ship will re-enter the Earth's atmosphere. Now, as a reminder, one of the main goals of today's test flight is for the ship to make it through the extreme heat of re-entry and to do so in a controlled manner. We learned a lot about this phase during Flight 4, and as a result, completely reworked the heat shield, but more on all that in just a minute. Now, re-entry is typically a portion of flight where we don't have communications with the spacecraft because re-entering, it'll be re-entering at about 8 kilometers per second, or about 5 miles per second of roughly orbital velocity. Now, those speeds, the spacecraft moving through the atmosphere results in friction and creates a plasma field around the vehicle. We saw this in action on Flight 4 thanks to Starlink, and wow, it was breathtaking. The blanket of plasma ends up distorting communication frequencies. So it's not uncommon to experience brief blackouts in communication, but hopefully that's not the case today.
Yeah, I hear you, Carol.
That's where Starlink
my
is
understanding that they're going
kind
to
of
try to
been just
land
the
it in the
unsung
Indian
hero
Ocean.
and the MVP of this test campaign. I mean, it's able to give us data, not just awesome video, but also data in real time as we're going through reentry. I mean, this is something that throughout the history of spaceflight just hasn't been possible. And this is an environment that is so unforgiving, so hard to model, so hard to understand. And for the first time ever, we're able to literally watch as it unfolds in real time, get that data in real time. And we're able to do that with Starlink. And it's great for us because we get to see something. We get to see the greatest light show on the planet or off the planet. But what it means for this program, we're able to learn tremendous amounts about our heat shield, our angle of attack, everything that we're doing as we're coming in through the atmosphere at hypersonic speeds. And it's you can't just thank it enough. And also special shout out, you're going to see some additional flat camera views. We've got a really amazing team of avionics, cameras, electronics, software people who made all that possible. And so hopefully they're going to give us an even better show on the way in today as we're coming in at about 5 times the speed of sound.
Yeah, those flaps, Dan, that you see there, that's what's helping.
Starship is in a good attitude for entry, approaching the entry interface.
Wonder if that's Australia they're flying
Some good
over
call
there.
outs there, preparing for re-entry for Starship. And again, that's what Dan was mentioning, those flaps on the vehicle. And if you've been watching us for the last few minutes, you could see that the flaps were rotating around and helping orient the vehicle as it prepares for the beginning of re-entry today.
Yeah, exactly. Re-entry will be enabled by that heat shield that you see on the bottom half. That heat shield is made up of 18,000 hexagonal ceramic tiles, and they are designed to insulate the vehicle during atmospheric entry. At that point in time, temperatures can be as high as 26,000 degrees Fahrenheit or about 1,400 degrees Celsius. The design itself also permits for rapid reuse with no refurbishment between the flights. And fun fact that I think is just incredible in terms of scale, but the heat shield alone on the ship has a total mass of 10.5 tons, which is crazy because these things are really lightweight. They're made out of ceramic. We have a couple of them here. The one that I'm holding is used on flat surfaces, as let's see if we go that way, because as it's flat. The one that Jesse has is kind of more what you see there on the side.
Yeah, exactly. And having these different shapes, the flat version and the curved version, allow us to cover a lot more of the surface area of the vehicle. Again, we need to protect every portion of it. So even those curved surfaces, and especially the hinge area, if you watch Flight 4, is really what we want to make sure that we protect. And yeah, Kate, these are very, very lightweight.
But when you put 18,000 of them together, they add up to 10.5 tons, which is incredible. Now, we did mention earlier that the heat shield has been completely reworked.
Starship has entered the atmosphere, remains on a nominal entry trajectory.
We can start to see that plasma now starting to build up on the side. It's not quite full plasma yet, but we are starting to see that color indicate that the heat is building up on the heat shield.
Yeah, this is such a cool sight to see because you really never really have gotten to see this live before Flight
4.
Yeah. And as Kate mentioned, it's getting a little more red, as you can see there on your screen. That means that heat is building up. But that's exactly what these heat shield tiles are there for, is to protect against this plasma and this really, really extreme heat that the vehicle is going to see for about the next 10 more minutes or so.
Yeah, so the ship will attempt to light the 3 center Raptor engines, and those are the engines that can gimbal or maneuver or point, and they do that to help flip the ship until the engines point down so that it can land using the Raptor's thrust in the ocean. So that will happen after we get through this re-entry period. Again, now starting to see. And we also might start to see the flaps actuate a little bit here as the vehicle controls its roll during reentry. That was one of the main learning points from Flight 3 was the roll control didn't work quite as well as we wanted it to. We learned that we needed some redundancies. So we added more roll control thrusters, and we'll see those in action as well today, as that was a Flight 3 learning that worked better on Flight 4 and still enabling that same design today.
Yeah.
Starship has passed through 85 kilometers altitude. Flaps now have control of the vehicle.
Great call out, as Kate mentioned, the flaps are controlling the attitude of the vehicle. And I love these views because it looks so calm. Everything is relative, right? So relative to this camera on the ship, it looks so calm and smooth. But the vehicle is traveling extremely fast. You can see the speed on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Starship is designed to land on Mars where there are no runways or other humans to help out. So we also want rapid reusability. So we're doing propulsive landing instead of a more traditional means like parachutes. And so we will use the engines on this vehicle to help slow the vehicle down for a vertical landing.
Yeah. Now, entry is going to basically happen in 5 phases.
Okay,
The first is low drag that lasts for about 3 minutes. Next is high heating,
Oh my God.
and that beginning when heating increases above the heat rate breakup
already
limit.
re-entering.
That lasts for about
Almost
10
missed it.
minutes. We then have high dynamic pressure. Starship will continue to slow down and experience increased aerodynamic loads during that phase. And that will happen before reaching Mach 1, about a minute after.
Starship is approaching the peak heating phase of entry, remains on a nominal trajectory.
Okay, so that was phase 2 that he just called out that I was mentioning. After peak heating is that dynamic pressure around Mach 1, and that will last about a minute after leaving the hypersonic area. And then we go into subsonic, and then, of course, landing burn. Wow, what an incredible view.
The colors are so amazing, and the colors actually also tell you a little bit about the temperature that the vehicle is seeing as well. So I think that's pretty cool that we get this amazing live visual.
Speaking of live visual,
Great
the
pictures.
flap, we have more views, more cameras on board Starship, as Dan mentioned a few minutes ago. We are hoping that all 4 flaps will stay more intact than they did last time. We did make some changes to the design in order to help enable
Starship
this.
is now experiencing peak heating, remains on a nominal entry trajectory.
Great news there that Starship is continuing along the path that we intended it to fly. You can keep track with how fast it's going and how high it is above Earth using the display that is there on the bottom right-hand side of your screen.
Wow.
Guys, this is where we're really going to see a lot of those improvements from Flight 4 really come into action. Is you guys kind of talked about, so it's called the static arrow. Those are kind of the poke out points on the flaps. Those get exposed to some pretty extreme heat environments, and so we added some additional, basically made it a lot more robust for the thermal protection there. And we learned not just from visuals and stuff like that. We had those missing tile tests on Flight 4 where we intentionally left some out, kept in some backup layers. They're called ablatives, which means they just gradually melt away to help dissipate the heat. And we've got an entire layer of ablative underneath the tiles on this Starship today. So even if you get a gap in a tile or a tile is broken, anything like that, we've got essentially backup options. And what we're really trying to do today is do an on-target landing. As we lost the flaps, you lose a lot of your control, and so we didn't land right on target last flight. This time we're trying to really nail the target within just tens of meters. And that'll just be a really huge step on feeling like we're closer to bringing a ship back. Obviously, there's a lot of work before we get there, but we just caught a booster. We're going to start looking real soon at when we can catch a ship.
So the view on your left is as a helicopter passes by Dan, bound at Starbase. The view on your left is a camera that's positioned near the nose of the ship, looking basically down toward the flap. The view on the right is looking perpendicular to the flap. So we're looking basically bird's eye view onto the flap on the left-hand side, and then a worm's eye view from the side with that view on the right.
Okay, so both
Yeah,
pictures
sorry
of the
about that,
same
guys.
flap.
Maverick just buzzed the tower. He might be coming back. So.
Now, these views brought to us by Starlink. It's incredible that we have this high definition
Thank you, Cheryl
capability.
and
In
Sven,
fact,
for
that view on the
tuning in
left.
here. I'm glad I
Starship is
could
now
make this
halfway through
available. I
the
know it's
heating phase of entry.
sometimes
Remains
hard
on a
to
good
find the
trajectory.
official stream on YouTube.
So great news there, hearing that we're about halfway through the peak heating phase. Like I said earlier, this lasts roughly 10-ish minutes. And we did hear earlier that the flaps have control of the vehicle, so also good news there. It is incredible that we've basically had views the entire time.
Right. Yeah.
Although
Thanks to Starlink.
my memory did black out a little bit after booster catch, so I think we had views. But all through the coast phase, we had some beautiful views of planet Earth behind the ship as it was in its orbit.
Yeah. And I also do want to point out on your right-hand screen, we've got a more encompassed view of the flap. As we watched in Flight 4, the hinge area was the area where we got a little bit of that burn through. This view, this new camera view on the ship, will help us be able to visually see more of what's happening in that area. And again, we have improved our heating tiles, and so hopefully we've protected the hinge a lot better this time.
Landing chill has started.
But again, these views are additional to the data that we get on these flight tests that help enable us kind of put the data that we get in the computer to the visuals that we see and try and align those and use that for improvements in the future.
Now, we heard a call out there saying that engine chill has begun. This is an indication that we are starting to flow a little bit of the super cold liquid oxygen through the hardware, through the Raptor engine, specifically the turbo pumps, to help ensure that the hardware is at the right temperature before we give a full push, a full flow of propellant at engine startup. So all of that to say, we are getting closer to the landing burn.
We definitely are. And again, if you look at the bottom right hand of your screen, you can see the altitude that the ship is, and it has been slowly making its way closer and closer to Earth. We're currently at about 63 kilometers from planet Earth, and you'll see that number trend lower and lower as we get closer and continue through this reentry.
Yeah, this is going to go on for a little, actually a while longer. We have about 10 minutes or so, roughly, before we execute the landing, the ignition for the landing burn, starting with the landing flip. So we're making a controlled reentry. This is one of the primary objectives for Starship today, is to demonstrate another controlled reentry, even more controlled than what we saw on Flight 4. And so far, that is looking good.
And then as we start to really get lower, we're going to start seeing the atmosphere's effects start to take place, and that's when we'll be dropping our speed down closer to the speed of sound. You'll see the flaps start to maneuver. We were able to do a landing burn on Flight 4, which kind of caught all of us off guard. It was pretty incredible after seeing the flaps survive through. And we're going to try and do another one on this flight today. We tweaked it a little bit, so we're going to try and splash down at a little bit of a gentler angle this time, instead of just kind of hit the water and fall over. And the goal with that is try and keep the ship intact. And then if we're able to then get some additional video of it, again, that's just more data. And everything we can see, everything we can get extra, like a couple extra seconds or minutes of data coming from the ship after
Starship has
splashdown.
passed through the peak heating phase of flight, approaching maximum entry dynamic pressure.
All right, we're through peak heating. Coming up is basically max Q part 2, where we're going to hit kind of that part of the curve where we're still moving really fast and the atmosphere is just dense enough that we're feeling the most pressure. But hopefully we're going to start feeling a little bit less heat now.
Looks like we got more views of each of the flaps on the ship as it's making its way back down to Earth. And we did pass through peak heating and still got really good views throughout that whole period. Typically during the highest heat on the vehicle, we tend to build up a lot of plasma, and that's typically when we would lose, connection or views of the vehicle. But again, with Starlink, we were able to get some live views throughout that entire process there.
And we're coming up. We'll start hearing a couple more milestones in about 4 minutes or so when we start getting down to like the transonic, the subsonic, when we're starting to move closer to and beneath the speed of sound. And I mean, we're getting live views, we're getting live data. We've got a couple additional tests on this one today where we left off some missing tiles again to test some additional backup layers. We also have, I don't know if we can still quite see them in this view, but you may have noticed we had some kind of silvery looking tiles on Starship as well. And those were pretty much standard tiles, but they were wrapped in aluminum. And it was a pretty simplistic, straightforward one where aluminum starts to melt at roughly the same temperature where steel starts to lose its strength, not necessarily melt. And so if we see stuff melting, we know we know what our steel is going to be exposed to. But 59 minutes since launch, should be coming up on transonic and everything in just about 3 minutes.
Now the views here, we have coverage of all 4 flaps. We can see, so for those that perhaps didn't
how many
catch
of you watched
a glimpse of the vehicle before liftoff, there are 2 flaps at the forward end and 2 flaps at the aft end. The larger camera view that is there on the right-hand side of your screen, that is a view of one of the aft end or the bottom end flaps. We can start to see some heat buildup and peeking through on one of the flaps there in the top left-hand corner of your screen.
Thanks again for tuning in with me this morning. If you haven't already, be sure and like and subscribe. And
once again, Starship now at T+1 hour and 9 seconds into its flight today, re-entering the Earth's atmosphere. Currently about 45 kilometers above the surface of the Earth, now 44. We are targeting a soft splashdown in the Indian Ocean, about, northwest-ish of Australia. And we are attempting to, as we did on Flight 4, perform a flip maneuver as well as
Starship is at maximum entry dynamic pressure, remains on a good trajectory.
All right, so that is great news there. Like Dan said earlier, this is basically max Q part 2. So this is the greatest amount of aerodynamic loads that the vehicle will experience during its flight. It's coming back through the Earth's atmosphere. It was above the Earth's atmosphere in space where there was no friction. We can obviously see heat as evidence of that friction buildup. The atmosphere is actually helping to slow the vehicle down. If you're watching the telemetry in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, you can see that speed decelerating rapidly. Now, the 4 flaps on the ship help steer the vehicle, and one of the main objectives for the ship today is to demonstrate controlled re-entry during this phase of flight, this re-entry phase.
It's nighttime over there, so...
Yeah, and we have 6 engines on ship, but we only need 3 of them, the 3 sea-level engines. We will have that flip maneuver happen very close to touching down for splashdown. We'll do that flip maneuver, ignite those engines, slow the vehicle down immediately, and then hopefully have what we call a soft splashdown in the water. It's probably going to feel a little bit harder on the top of the surface of the water, but it'll look pretty gentle.
Yeah, and like we said earlier, we hope to have some more views, even of that phase of the flight. So fingers crossed that we can we can bring those to you. We are hoping to splash down softer than we did last time on Flight 4. Right now, Starship continuing to make its descent back to planet Earth.
Mach 2 remains on a good trajectory.
All right, great news there. That tells us that the vehicle is traveling twice traveling twice the speed of sound. So we will then, the next call out that we'll hear is that it is, traveling about the speed of sound. And then we will hear a call out that that will be the call out that it is transonic. And then we will hear another call out saying that it is subsonic, meaning going slower than the speed of sound.
Seems like the other video
is transonic.
Degenerated.
There it is. So at this So at this point in time, we say transonic because certain parts of the vehicle, like the flap that you see on your screen, might be experiencing airflow faster than the speed of sound. While other parts of the ship may be experiencing airflow.
Starship is in the subsonic belly flop.
Flap is articulating.
All right, so now the entire vehicle is traveling slower than the speed of sound, so subsonic. The crowd here at Mission Control Hawthorne also getting excited, just like us. We're awaiting
a
water landing. We are going to reignite the 3 engines to perform that flip maneuver, and we're basically about a minute and a half, away from the landing flip.
And when they do the flip,
the crowd's getting excited here as we get closer and closer to splashdown. Again, just about a minute away from the expected splashdown. So we should see a lot happening coming up here shortly. We're currently having a view of one of the flaps, and it is a little bit dark on your screen, but hopefully we'll get some good views of the ship as it makes that flip maneuver and touchdown for splashdown.
Yeah,
guys, we saw that speed drop like a rock. So we're doing a belly flip right now, or a belly flop right now. That's what's kind of, if you saw the high altitude campaign, that's the unique thing about how Starship comes back. So we've bled off pretty much all of the speed we're going to. We're essentially at terminal velocity.
Starship is at 5 kilometers altitude, remains on target.
5 to go, coming up soon, landing burn.
Not getting the altitude is 3 kilometers, 2 kilometers.
2 kilometers away.
Starship is on target. Approaching landing burn startup.
1 kilometer.
So keep an eye on the bottom right-hand side of your screen as well. That will be the indicator when the Raptor engines ignite, if we are unable to see that illumination ourselves.
Landing burn startup.
Landing burn. See how the ship changes attitude? Pointing up, burning, slowing down. There's the ocean. It's landing in the water. Wow.
An incredible view. I think it is safe to say we have a ship in the water. Touchdown!
It made it all the way to the water.
What an incredible
and then blew up.
Starship's journey. A live view from a buoy that we had out at the landing zone.
An incredible view of ship landing just about on target as they were calling out.
And it's floating and burning.
That was amazing. And
wow.
We were not intending to recover any of the ship's hardware, so that was the best ending that we could have hoped for.
Wow.
Man, I don't think we're going to be able to get a ton of extra video of the heat shield, but we hit the target. Yeah. I mean, we hit the target because we had these buoys placed in a pretty specific spot. So, wow, what a day! I feel like that's all. That's what I get to say.
Oh, you guys.
I mean, everything started off today with
Like a
with that
Pyrex
launch.
fan, yeah.
We were able to lift off towards the end of our window, 7:25 a.m. Central Time. 33 out of 33 Raptors in the way uphill. Successful hot stage. Booster came back. We watched it come down right behind us. Watched it get caught. And that broke my brain for a while.
Wow.
I'm really happy we had
Congratulations,
coast for a bit,
SpaceX team.
First ever booster catch, major step on the way to rapid reusability. And ship just gave us one heck of a show, making it through a controlled reentry this time. Flaps intact, made it down to the water. Hey, Starships were meant to fly, and it sure as hell flew today. So let's get ready for the next one. Over to you.
So cool, man. Just amazed. So glad you guys tuned in with me to watch this. Just amazing. I'm blown away and filled with hope for the future of humanity, and grateful to SpaceX and Elon Musk for making this technology. Yeah, much respect to Elon and SpaceX, and thank you guys for tuning in with me this morning. Again, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the like button, and be sure to check out some of my other videos on my channel. Thank you. Love you all. I'm going to end this stream now, but I'll see you in the next video.